What's up, everybody? It's Jordan, and welcome to the Sports Behind Show. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about the final rankings of the college football playoffs, talk about my reactions for the teams who made the college football playoffs, and I also will be giving out bowl predictions for every single bowl game. I'm going to start from the bowl games, starting the earliest, and then the ending will be the teams in the college football playoffs. So up first is the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Appalachian State takes on North Texas. North Texas is under 500. If this was a normal year, they wouldn't even be in a bowl game. Appalachian State has 3 losses this year in the regular season. That's not really like the Mountaineers, but I have Appalachian State winning. Next up is the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Nevada takes on Tulane. Tulane is 6-5, barely being 500, while Nevada is 6-2, and one of the better teams in the Mount West. I think Nevada will end up winning this one. The Boca Raton Bowl. Really excited for this one. It's UCF. They take on BYU. BYU just only has 1 loss in the season, and that was the undefeated Coastal Carolina. And if there was just 1 or 2 more seconds left, they probably would have beat Coastal Carolina and would still be undefeated right now. So I'm really, really excited for that one. That's going to be one of my favorite games of this bowl matchups. But I have the BYU Cougars winning that game. Next up is the New Orleans Bowl. Louisiana Tech takes on Georgia Southern. And this is basically a home game for Louisiana Tech playing in their home state. But I actually have Georgia State winning this one in the upset. The Montgomery Bowl is Memphis and FAU. FAU ended on a really bad note, losing to just a 2-win Southern Miss team to finish out the regular season. Memphis is always a really good team in the American. They're always consistent. For instance, just last year, they represented the Group of 5 in the New Year's Six Bowl. I think Memphis will win this one, and I really don't think this game will be even close. Next up is Hawaii, who is 4-4, taking on Houston, who is 3-4. If this was a normal year, neither one of these teams would even be in the bowl game. Hawaii and their air raid offense is really difficult to stop if you're not a good pass defense. Houston is just really inconsistent, but I have Hawaii defeating the Houston Cougars. Next up is the Camellia Bowl on Christmas, which I really absolutely hate. A college football game on Christmas. You look at the other sports like the NBA, NFL. Those athletes are at least getting paid while playing on Christmas Day, and college football, those players aren't getting paid by playing on Christmas Day. I really think that's just not fair for those collegiate athletes. But the Camellia Bowl is Marshall. They take on Buffalo. And both of these teams played in their conference championship games. Marshall played in the Conference USA, and Buffalo played in the MAC championship games. And both these teams lost. Just several weeks ago, Marshall was 7-0, and at one point was ranked 21st in the college football playoff rankings. Since then, they've lost 2 straight. They actually got shut out against Rice 20-0 several weeks ago. And Buffalo lost to Ball State in their championship game. I'm really excited for this one because Brendan Knox, the running back of Marshall, is one of the more underrated running backs in the country. And Buffalo's running back, Jarrett Patterson, to me, the best running back in the country this year. Those two, I'm really excited to watch that game. But I actually have Buffalo defeating the Thundering Herd. The Gasparilla Bowl, UAB, Conference USA champions, they take on 2-8 South Carolina. The fact that South Carolina is in that bowl game and they're 2-8 is just ridiculous, and further proves the SEC bias in college football. Army was 9-2, and they did not play in a bowl game, which they're not in a bowl game as of right now, and that's just absolutely ridiculous to me. South Carolina just 2 wins. They fired their coach mid-season. They fired Muschamp, and they still go to a bowl game. It's really disrespectful. It's not fair to other teams. But like I mentioned, UAB was the Conference USA champions. They defeated Marshall this past week, and I think the Blazers will beat South Carolina. Next up is the Cure Bowl. Number 12, undefeated Coastal Carolina takes on 1-loss Liberty. I absolutely hate this for both teams. Coastal Carolina should 1,000,000% be playing in a New Year's Six Bowl. They have a better resume than Ohio State. They have a better resume. You can make a case for Cincinnati. They have better wins than Georgia. The fact that Coastal Carolina does not get a New Year's Six Bowl to me is just absolutely ridiculous. They beat 2 top 20 teams in BYU and Louisiana. And I've mentioned in numerous episodes that Louisiana is a really, really good team, one of the most underrated teams in the country, and they beat Iowa State by 17. So I really don't think it's fair that Coastal Carolina is playing in a game like this, and I really don't think it's fair that Liberty is playing in a game like this. I mean, Liberty, they have 2 wins over ACC opponents, and they would be undefeated if it wasn't for a bad field position and bad coaching by Hugh Freeze against NC State. But this game was supposed to be College Game Day a couple weeks ago, but was actually replaced for Coastal Carolina and BYU. Should be a great game, but I really think Coastal Carolina will beat Liberty, because Coastal Carolina was just be fed up that they're not in the New Year's Six, and prove this game, in my opinion, they'll beat Liberty Flames by probably 20 plus, and really prove that Coastal Carolina 100% should have been in a New Year's Six Bowl. Next up is the First Responder Bowl. UTSA takes on number 19 Louisiana. I already mentioned Louisiana is the most underrated team in the country. UTSA does have one of the best running backs in the country, and Sincere McCormick. He's one of the best running backs in the country. He's top 10 in rushing yards, but I think Louisiana will really smack down UTSA in this one. Next up in the Lending Tree Bowl is West Kentucky. They take on Georgia State. Both these teams are pretty inconsistent. I think West Kentucky will win this matchup, and I think that's a really high point. They can end at a high note, and I think the Hilltoppers can actually have a pretty good season next year and contend for the Conference USA Championship game, but I have the Hilltoppers winning this one. Next up in the Cheez-It Bowl is Miami, Florida taking on Oklahoma State. They are some of the most overrated teams in the country. Miami, I mean, they gave up over 60 points to North Carolina, over 750 yards. Oklahoma State, they were undefeated for the first couple of weeks, and if they would have stayed undefeated, they would have been a Big 12 in the playoffs, but they've got blown out a couple of times by Oklahoma. They've had a couple other losses, but I'll take the Oklahoma State Cowboys in this one. Next up is the Alamo Bowl. Texas takes on Colorado. This is actually in Texas, so it's basically a home game for Texas. And even if this wasn't a home game for Texas, I still think they win big. In the Duke's Mayo Bowl, Wisconsin takes on Wake Forest. Wisconsin's been a bit of a letdown this season. Wake Forest has been all right, but I mean, I would take Wisconsin in this one. I know they've been down, but they're Wisconsin. I mean, they're normally a powerhouse, normally a 10-win program, 9-10 win program. So I'll take the Badgers in this matchup. Next up in the Music City Bowl is number 15 Iowa, who is 6-2. They take on Missouri, who is 500. I think Iowa will win this one, but don't be surprised if Missouri makes this close. They've been competitive this year, but I really expect Iowa to win this game. One of the New Year's Six Bowls is number 6 Oklahoma. They take on number 7 Florida in the Cotton Bowl. It was announced that star tight end for the Florida Gators, Kyle Pitts, will not be playing, so I think that has a lot to do possibly with the outcome. I mean, obviously Oklahoma has one of the best offenses year in and year out. Florida's offense is amazing this year. Kyle Trask is a Heisman candidate and should be up there with Matt Jones, and Trask could possibly even win the Heisman. But with Pitts not playing, it's going to make it a lot closer. But Florida's defense is a really big key if they want to win this game. Also, for Oklahoma's defense, that's a big key. I think this could be a really high-scoring game, and I think this could kind of be similar to the Alabama-Florida game, 52-46, something along the lines of that. But I have the Gators winning in this one. Next up is number 24 Tulsa. They are 6-2. They take on 3-7 Mississippi State. Mississippi State does not deserve to win this bowl game. It's, like I said earlier, with South Carolina, it's the SEC bias. Tulsa's going to win this game, and it's not even going to be close. Next up is the Arizona Bowl, and this is actually a really underrated matchup. San Jose State, the Mount West champions who are undefeated, takes on Ball State, the MAC champions who just have one loss. This could really go either way. I wouldn't be surprised if either team won, but I have San Jose State winning this matchup and completing the perfect season. In the Liberty Bowl, 5-4 West Virginia takes on 3-7 Tennessee. SEC bias is the only reason Tennessee is in this game. I think the Mountaineers win this game. I think it might be close, but I really expect WVU to defeat the Volunteers. In the Texas Bowl, 3-7 Arkansas takes on 6-4 TCU. Just like with South Carolina, just like with Tennessee, Arkansas does not deserve to be in this game. But I will say this, I think Arkansas has a really, really bright future. I mean, they scored, I believe, nearly 40 points against Florida this year. They've been competitive in games. But I think they have a really nice future. But I think TCU will defeat Arkansas. On New Year's Day, the Peach Bowl, number 8 Cincinnati takes on number 9 Georgia. This is absolutely a disgrace to the college football playoffs. You might as well call this the Power 5 playoffs, because a group of 5 team will never be in the playoffs. I don't know what the committee wants more of Cincinnati. They had a perfect season. They defeated quality opponents. You can't say that about other top teams like Georgia. Cincinnati deserves to be in the playoffs. It's just not fair to a group of 5 team. There's never going to be a group of 5 team in the playoffs unless it expands to 8 teams. Of all the years the college football playoffs of a group of 5 team was ever going to be in one, it would have been this season. And Cincinnati, you can make a case that this is the best group of 5 team ever since the college football playoffs have started. And since they don't get in, it's just really disrespectful. But I really think Cincinnati is going to play like just really ticked off that they're not in the playoffs, prove that they should be in the playoffs, and I really think Cincinnati in this game will defeat the Georgia Bulldogs. In the Citrus Bowl, number 14, Northwestern takes on Auburn. Northwestern, I was really impressed with them in the Big Ten championship game against Iowa State. Despite their loss, they played really, really well. They really should have won that game, just they had some mistakes. Auburn, obviously they fired Gus Malzahn. They're still searching for their head coach. I posted a previous video that I believe Auburn should target Bill Clark, the current head coach of UAB. But I really think Northwestern will win this game. But it's going to be really interesting to see who Auburn would hire. Of this outcome of this game could determine the outcome who Auburn would hire as their next head coach. And the Tax Slayer Bowl, number 23, NC State takes on Kentucky. Kentucky just runs the ball and takes up time off the clock. When Georgia played Kentucky earlier in the year, Georgia only had the ball for around 17 or 18 minutes the entire game. When Florida played Kentucky earlier in the year, Florida only had the ball 7 minutes in the whole first half. I think Kentucky's going to try to run the ball, take time off the clock, but I don't think that'll be enough to stop NC State. I have NC State winning this one. Number 11, Indiana takes on Ole Miss. Indiana deserves a better bowl. They are a very good team. They nearly beat Ohio State. That's their only loss of the season. They deserve to be in a New Year's Six Bowl. Indiana's going to humiliate Ole Miss in this one. I know that Ole Miss has Lane Kiffin, an offensive guru, but I really think the Hoosiers will win this one big. Fiesta Bowl, number 10, Iowa State takes on number 20, Oregon. This game is just, I'm not looking forward to this one at all. Oregon's overrated. Iowa State's overrated. A 3-loss team's number 10 when Cincinnati is undefeated and they're 8. Iowa State's good. Oregon's okay. I expect Iowa State to win, but this is, to me, one of the more least exciting games of the New Year's Six Bowls ever since the college football playoff started. And now to the college football playoff semifinals. So in case you missed it, the top 6 were: number 6 was Oklahoma, 5 was A&M, 4 was Notre Dame despite their blowout loss to Clemson, 3 was Ohio State, 2 was Clemson, and number 1 was Alabama. So the first matchup is number 1 Alabama takes on number 4 Notre Dame. It actually should be Cincinnati, but it's just the anti-bias towards group of 5 teams. And lots of people say if Cincinnati was in the playoffs, they would have been humiliated. Possibly. But everybody knows that Notre Dame is going to get humiliated by Alabama because Notre Dame already got humiliated by Clemson just the other day. The Crimson Tide, in my opinion, will win this one by 30 plus. The spread's 20. I would take Alabama in this one in a heartbeat. Time and time again, Notre Dame has proved they're so overrated. I actually thought this could have been the year the Fighting Irish were a contender for the championship, and I was really, really wrong. Crimson Tide in this one, big in my opinion. And the other matchup is number 2 Clemson takes on number 3 Ohio State. This could really go either way. Ohio State has not played a full good game this year. They've played good halves, but not good full games. I mean, they've nearly lost to Indiana, and if it wasn't for a good second half and a bad second half by Northwestern, they would have not even won the Big Ten championship. Clemson's loss was to Notre Dame without Lawrence. This one could go either way. I'll take Clemson, but I'm really excited for this one. So that would leave number 1 Alabama and number 2 Clemson in the championship for it seems like the 20th time in just the past 5 years, because it seems like they play every single freaking year. But I have Alabama winning. I know they nearly lost to Florida. They just won by 6. But I've said on multiple episodes, the only 2 teams, in my opinion, who had a chance of beating Alabama this year were Ohio State, which I've not really said that recently, and Florida. I really thought Florida could have won that game, and that's I think Florida is more difficult to stop than Clemson. I think Alabama will have an easier time stopping Clemson than they would Florida. I have Alabama winning, and Alabama winning the college football playoff national championship game. So in this episode, I talked about all the bowl games and my predictions for each game. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it, and I will see you next time on the Sports 2 Show.